This episode of Healthcare Uncut and Unfiltered is sponsored by Connect DME. Connect DME provides over 4,000 products to patients nationwide for below the Medicare allowable rate, which helps your self-funded plan or TPA control costs for your durable medical equipment spend. Connect DME's products range from walking boots and crutches to CPAP machines and diabetic supplies, all shipped directly to the patient's doorstep. They even provide sleep studies taken right in the patient's home. Visit Connect DME online at connectdme.com to find out how they can help your health plan save on medical equipment. That's Connect DME, CONNECT DME.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode number, I can't remember. Is it 6?
Episode many.
Episode many. We're getting into this deep enough that we're going to need Brandon to keep us in line on how many episodes we're in.
We're at 6, my friends.
I appreciate it. That works. Episode 6 of Healthcare Uncut Unfiltered. Had some fun putting some podcasts out on social media. We're up on video on YouTube now. Great job there, Brandon. We appreciate it. Alex did some legwork on that deal too. I just sit and watch you guys be awesome. But it's exciting to be back. I'm glad to be back with you guys. I don't know how long it's been, but I'm not going to say how long I think it's been. But
well, yeah, we beat that. We beat that horse to death last episode.
And if you watch Half Baked yesterday in honor of
like
420, the horse did die.
I feel like I need to hear you say it though.
Yeah, you should say it every time.
It's been a hot minute since we've been in. Is that okay? You guys good?
Yeah.
Hot minute. I'm going to create a sound for the next time you say that, and every time you do, it's going to go hot minute.
I love it. I think it's great.
All right.
Happy to be back. We've got a lot of things going on in the marketplace. There's a great conference coming up called Free Market Medical Association.org in Kansas City. We will be journeying up to the world of Kansas City of amazing barbecue and Boulevard wheat beer, and putting on a show at the FMMA conference. We'll do an episode from there and maybe even do some live stuff. A lot of good people there. A lot of good people in this healthcare space that really want the landscape of healthcare to change. So we'll have some good guys up there. What's been going on with you guys, Brandon? You been traveling? Anything?
Yep, been doing some traveling, some stuff with some media. Got to do a soccer tournament in New York City last week.
Right on.
I was the announcer and the MC. It was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you made it back safe.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Always a pleasure.
Alex, Jody doing okay?
Jody's doing better, slowly but surely. Yeah, she's got a long road, but she's doing all right.
She gets feeling better. I want to get her on the podcast. She believes what we're doing. I think she'd be awesome.
She's helped the movement in a lot of ways. But yeah, I'm excited about Kansas City for several reasons. One, it is a group of people that are already doing this or wanting to learn more about it or wanting to learn how to expand it. So it's kind of the gathering of the who's who of free market medicine, as well as you'll have people that have never even touched it before, and they're just showing up to learn, which is that's really my kind of most exciting thing to see is when people their eyes get open and they realize they can do this. But also I'm also excited because I lived in Kansas City for 9 years right after college.
That's when you worked for Vanity Fair, wasn't it?
Yeah, Vanity Fair Corporation, Lee Jeans to be specific. So I've kind of come a long way from the apparel industry and landed in healthcare somehow. But we can tell that story someday later. But yeah, I love Kansas City, but I haven't been back in years. So I'm probably going to try to at least one night gather some old friends and work colleagues and.
Yes, sir. You're the guy that's going to show us where to go. When
he knows the speakeasies.
Well, if it's the
passwords.
same, of course the standards will be there. Your Arthur Bryant's and Oklahoma Joe's and
Oklahoma Joe's is in Kansas City.
Well, so Oklahoma Joe's is called that because the guy that started selling barbecue out of his gas station had an Oklahoma Joe's smoker. That was just the name of they're still around. You can buy an Oklahoma Joe's smoker. So he just named his barbecue restaurant Oklahoma Joe's, and when I left, it was still there in the gas station. But they built this brand new, nice, beautiful restaurant in Overland Park, and I think they have several locations now. But you got to go to the OG,
Yeah, of course.
the gas
I
station.
just get so confused every time I go to a new city. I just need somebody to guide me, you know?
It's different than when I left. I mean, they've changed the whole Power and Light district. The Sprint Center wasn't there when I left, and that's a whole new district. I mean, I'm sure it's somewhat the same, but I'm sure it's grown up a lot too.
Is Westport still there?
I assume so.
I think Westport was kind of the it spot to be last time I was there. It's been years.
You had the Crown Plaza area, which is sort of the downtown scene. Then you had Westport, which would be, similar to like it'd be kind of like the Plaza District now for us here,
Sure.
or what Bricktown, is. We loved hanging out in Westport. Westport was fun area. And then you had, just smatterings of fun little areas all over. From
The one that I'm
KCI.
excited about is Kauffman Stadium. I think we're going to go try to make a night, go to check out the Royals. I've never been to Kauffman. I've been around it a lot, but I'm excited to go check that ballpark off the list.
The Royals games are fun. I went all the time when I lived there because it was, it's like probably like now. They're horrible. They were horrible then. So you could go grab a ticket for literally like $6, and they'd let you bring in your own bag of peanuts, your own like they didn't just get in the seats. Like it was opening day was always sold out. Certain teams would come into town and it would get close to sold out, but most games, man, you could just walk up and buy a ticket.
Is that where you want?
Yeah. Move right.
It's like going to a Dodgers game here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, you can move around. But I love a good day game baseball. It's fun.
Awesome. Well, I'm looking forward to the trip. I'm looking forward to seeing some new faces. So many times when we go to this conference, there's some advancements. There's some new vendors that come into the marketplace. There's so many, and I get really excited about seeing what some of the developments are and technology developments, things like that. And then you just kind of go back with some old relationships and some people you're excited to see. I know we've got a good crew that we normally hang out with, but FMMA is upon us. First part of May, we've got the OKHR conference coming up. I'm going to be making a run around the vendor floor at the OKHR conference. Always good to talk to some of the plan sponsors, leaders in the benefit space here. You never know as you foster relationships when those guys might decide to make a change and do things a little bit differently. So that's a good spot to go. But we've been kind of talking on our podcast about the pieces of a plan, that how they work and what they do, and Brandon came up in one podcast and wanted to know, how do you buy it, how do you put it in place? And we've talked a lot about the broker. We've talked a lot about some other things, and there are some pieces of the employer sponsored healthcare plans that we're going to break into. But I stumbled kind of randomly onto an article, and I posted it on LinkedIn. I posted it on our Uncut Unfiltered Facebook page. It really hit home to me. As much as we want to talk about, this cost containment piece over here, or hold your broker accountable here, or, how do we curtail the cost of specialty medicine there? A lot of these things out there are huge, and getting your arms wrapped around them and getting them under control is a big accomplishment, and will obviously drive spend down and help your employees have a better healthcare experience. But what this article was, it's a Forbes article, and it was a survey. It's a recent Forbes Advisor survey of 2,000 Americans who have health insurance, and they found that over 3/4 can't identify the term coinsurance, and nearly half incorrectly defined copayment and deductible. And this kind of slapped me in the face a little bit. It kind of was like, hold on, we're talking about the broker not doing his job. We're talking about get this in there and put this in place and blah, 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 all kinds of things and solutions we have. But one thing I want to drill down to today is, what do we know really about health insurance, and what are we teaching it? Because I believe, after reading this article and talking about this article, and I'll dive into it. The number one, I believe that we got to get back to basics. I believe we've got to really, really get back to basics. We can't expect our employees to navigate an employee health care plan the appropriate way if they don't even know what it is. And I say all the time, people go to the ER because they don't understand their employee health care plan. And this absolutely 100% validates that philosophy, that thought process. And we'll break these down one by one. Alex, I'd love for you to chime in and let me know what you think, because you deal with an employee health plan. You deal with the employees and the open enrollment and the things that go along with that. But the first one was confusion about health insurance terms. More than 3/4, 77%, misunderstand coinsurance. This survey found that only 23% correctly could identify the correct definition of coinsurance from a range of choices, and nearly 1/3 didn't even want to take a guess. And the range of choices that they had was a flat fee you pay every time you receive covered healthcare services. 12% of the respondents chose that. The amount you pay toward medical bills before your health insurance starts paying. 12 insurance chose that. 12 respondents chose that. The difference between your premium and what your health insurance pays, 14% chose that. The percentage your health insurance plan pays versus what you pay, 23% chose that. I've already given it away. 9% chose none of the above, and 30% chose I don't know.
Yeah, that's it is interesting to try to take a step back when you're in the industry and you do understand all that. You don't really think about how did I come to understand that. It feels like I've always known that, but I know there's a time that I didn't. And how can we expect employees to make good decisions related to their healthcare plan or our healthcare plan that we provide for them if they don't even know really how it works? That survey basically exposes that it's not just the definitions. It means they don't know how it works.
Well, you kind of got to know what the word means to know how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's easy to understand. It's not like, hey, these people are dum-dums. This is complicated for a reason. It was designed that way. All these things are co-insurance, co-pays, deductibles. It's all just ways for the insurance companies to save money and make you pay more, and they call it different things, and it is confusing. And when you really boil it down and think about it, it's almost not fair.
Yeah.
It's like, wait. What's a deductible? A deductible is supposed to be the amount I have to pay first before insurance then takes over and covers it, right? But yet, what you just asked the definition of, or what these people were asked in the survey, is a thing that goes beyond the deductible. Wait. I've already paid my deductible, but I still owe money? Yes, that's coinsurance.
Yeah. To be clear for listeners, the definition of coinsurance is the percentage your health insurance plan pays versus what you pay.
Which sounds an awful lot like deductible.
It does. It's kind of designed that way. I think we talk about how healthcare works for three entities. It works for the hospital. It works for the carrier. They write this. And it works for the broker. And it's in the broker's best interest, if you've got a fully insured plan, that the people don't understand it. Because if they don't understand it, costs go up. When their costs go up, their renewal's high. And when their renewal's high, it's a built-in raise for them. So that's kind of why it's written this way. And you're right, Alex. It's sloped in the favor of those three entities right there.
It'd be interesting to look up when coinsurance started.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't, I don't think it was always there. Then you had a copay, or not a copay, and then you had a deductible. And when you met the deductible, everything's covered, much like another term that we could talk about, a high deductible health plan.
Sure.
Rules. But, I think these things get added over time because the powers that be that are making all the money are like, wait, how could we push a little more to the insured and more less out of our pocket?
The rising cost of healthcare facilitated in the minds of the three entities that we're talking about and the brokers weren't necessarily at the table with this, but the hospitals and the carriers get together and they stage a public fight about we're not getting along, we can't afford this doesn't work for us, we're going to take these guys out of net, you're going to be out of network, we got to get an arrangement made so that the hospital's still in the carrier network, and they fight over it, but in the back room, they're secretly getting along with each other and saying, we're going to make more money here. Charge masters, terms like that come to mind, but co-insurance came along whenever the rising cost of healthcare, the carrier and the hospitals got together and said, how do we can't absorb this rising cost. We got to figure out a way to do it. Let's invent a term, co-insurance. This is my imagination of what I think how co-insurance came to be. This isn't a fact. I'm not looking anything up. Right. But it's those two connecting together and saying, we've got to figure out a way so we can still make the same amount of money we've been making and not sacrifice our profits. So let's figure out a term that we can use to pass on the cost to the employee. That's what high deductible health plans are designed for. They're designed to pass the cost on to the insured, to the people that need the actual health care. But to me, I would love to see the date, like you said, when co-insurance came into play. But it had to be a backroom conversation with an outwardly staged fight.
We don't know the facts. We could try to Google it or look it up. But the point is, somebody at some point said, I can't absorb all this cost. We need to push some back on somebody else. Who could we do that? Oh, how about the patient? How about the insured?
Let's make them pay something at delivery. Time services are rendered.
It's got to be something like that, because otherwise, why did it ever happen? But back to this survey, we're already in the weeds talking about complicated stuff. And again, what are the basics that people know or don't know, and how do we get them to understand it?
Well, it gets better. It gets better, even more so. Oh, he's got it pulled up. Perfect. It gets better because they talk about copayment.
Right.
So I think we all know, Brandon, you're not immersed into this healthcare industry. We drug you along kicking and screaming. Tell me what you think a copayment is.
Do you want me to be? I feel so very vulnerable right now because all this feels like is, you remember they still do it on like TikTok and Instagram, but remember Jay Leno used to take the streets and ask people questions, and then Jimmy Kimmel does it, and it was always like
Letterman had a guy that went out. And
Letterman did. They're like name 3 capitals or 3 cities in Africa, and people are like, what? So this is what it feels like. I am looking at this at the same time.
But you can tell me what your.
I do know what your copayment is.
Let's get your wife on the phone and have her come on and say, Mom, honey, what is a copay? Here's why I'm asking you this. I want courageous authenticity.
Here's a courageous answer.
Yeah.
A copayment is what I'm going to have to pay up front before I can be seen. That will help me. That will allow me to utilize the plan that I have. That's a copayment.
Okay. I've asked other people before our podcast, and I asked someone just randomly. It's someone I know that has invited me in to help them build a health plan for their company. And I said, hey, tell me what you believe a copayment is. She goes, well, that's what healthcare costs. Okay, it's what it costs you today.
It's part of what it costs.
You're gonna start your own plan, so you really need to know what these things are, because this survey alarmed me, and I'm trying as I go out there and I talk to people about employee healthcare to say we need to know these things. We need to have our basic blocking and tackling down. And this is X's and O's. This is blocking and tackling.
I've always considered it like the quarter you put into the arcade machine before you play. Like if you want to play the game, there's a whole vast game you can play and you can take advantage of all the power-ups. You're going to have to put the quarter in first. It's not much. It should just be a fraction, but that's what I've always considered copay.
I love going down analogy roads. But see, in your analogy, there's a flaw in it.
Let me hear it.
Because only certain games you have to put the quarter in.
Well, certain games cost different amounts. That's what you're trying to say.
Well, not necessarily. Some things don't have a copay. Some things do. It's a predetermined amount that the patient has to pay to access predetermined set of services. So, like primary care will have a copay that's generally, let's just say copay. It's $20.
Let's call that Cruising USA.
But if you go to a specialty doctor,
Gallagher,
higher copay, say $60, right? If you go to the ER, what's your copay?
My copay was $400.
There you go.
Predetermined. That's a plan document fee determined ahead of time.
But that is just how it is to access that care. However, if you go see a physical therapist, or you go get imaging, or
Right.
you don't have a copay.
But even though 54% of people were able to correctly identify copayment, that doesn't really mean anything. That just ruined your bit.
No,
It doesn't mean as much because I didn't know what copayment meant until I was hit with a copayment. It was like, we got to go to the ER. Well, hey, we need $400 to be seen. And I'm like, we're in an emergency, so we might as well pay it. But had I had known that I could have just gone to urgent care for $50, I would have totally just gone to. I just didn't know. Yeah. And that's like when you watch these trivia on the streets, you feel bad for the teachers who might see their student not know a single state capital in America. Yeah, when we should do this in Kansas City, we should ask all these people there these 3 questions, get their answers, and then just around town ask this. We should do the same study, but like make it a video where people can really see this, because the truth is this is outrageous, and this is X's and O's. This is the most important stuff.
I would love to gather that data, and I think that's a great idea to put our group together, go around with a microphone and stop somebody and say, hey, we're here for the Free Market Medical Association conference. We're helping employers build better health plans. Can you tell us what you know about these 3 things? Number 1, what's a copayment?
You got all these people at the conference who'll be able to answer it perfectly. And then you'll see 90% of these people be like,
that'd be great. I'd love to do this. The copayment piece troubles me. It troubles me because that's the simplest part to me of what your health insurance does for you. And nearly half, 46% of the surveyed, don't know what a health insurance copayment is. Many of them confuse copayment with their health insurance terms, and 6% didn't even want to guess. So I'll go over what the choices they were given. 54% chose a flat fee you pay every time you receive covered health services. That's what a copay is. The copay is designed to offset the cost of the actual care. It's before copays were ever there, you went to the doctor and everything was paid for by the plan. The plan says, oh gosh, this is getting expensive. We can't take on the whole cost of this. Let's pass some of this on to the insured in the form of a copayment. Make them pay at the time services are rendered. The other definitions that they had were the amount you pay toward medical bills before your health insurance starts paying, 21%. The difference between your premium and what your health insurance pays was 5%. The percentage your health insurance plan pays versus what you pay was 12%. We had a 2% on none of the above and 6% I don't know. And so there aren't a lot of questions on here, but these are the most rudimentary things about health insurance. And me, as if I were an employer, this would alarm me. This would trouble me. If I were Steve Marler or anybody else that we know out there that has a company and they're paying for, contributing to a plan for their employees, and their employees don't know this, it would trouble me as an employer, and it would also explain a lot about why I'm getting that unbelievably high renewal every year. People don't know how to navigate it. This just validates that we have to get back to basics in this healthcare world. If we're going to expect direct contracting to work, they got to know how and what it means and how it works.
Well, it is funny you say that because, we've talked about in previous episodes. I talk about it pretty much every time I talk to anyone about this new model. What's a big selling point of it? There's no more co-payments. There's no more co-insurance. It's zero out of pocket. Now that one might resonate with people. But if I'm saying those words to employees that like, hey, if you go here, there's no deductible, there's no co-payment, there's no co-insurance. If they don't even know what that means, how's that a benefit to them?
Right.
They're like, I didn't know there would have been anyway.
Dude,
it's
spot
like
on.
You're taking away, you're removing something they might not have even known was there in the first place.
Here's how we have, as brokers that want to do this the right way and want the employee to understand how to navigate their plan and to understand what it's the WeFM, what's in it for me. I want them to understand what's in this for me. So the translation, as you're talking about, if we say, well, there's no copay and no coinsurance anymore, you're right, Alex, they don't understand that. What they do understand is we're going to show you how to manufacture your own raise. That's what they understand. What they understand is this pocket right here and how often money's coming in and out of this pocket. They like money coming in. It's Adam Sandler. I got a jar on my refrigerator. I hope to put more money in that jar. They want to put more money in the jar. We have to explain it to them. We, as brokers, find more success in explaining to them as It is how it affects your pocketbook. How do you generate your own raise? It gets better. It gets better. Deductible. We know what deductible is. Brandon, if I asked you deductible, vulnerability moment, what would you say a deductible was?
I believe my deductible is that the max amount that I will have to pay?
Okay.
I don't know. Is it?
Before, deductible. Yeah, deductible is like, sorry, I do know
You're
this.
fine.
Yeah, it's basically like if something broke, I would have to pay X amount towards it before insurance would take the rest of it. So
Okay.
if it was like $1,000 deductible, or could be a bigger one even.
You're in the half that knew.
Yeah.
So the almost half of the 2,000 people surveyed that had health insurance. All these people had health insurance. Almost half can't identify what a health insurance deductible is. The options they were given was a flat fee you pay every time you receive covered healthcare services. 16% chose that.
Okay.
The amount you pay towards medical bills before your health insurance starts paying. Congratulations, Brandon Lovelace.
I'm honestly impressed. I'd like to thank a few people if I could have some time here. No, I'm kidding.
55% chose that, which is, it should be 95%. That number should be 95%. If employers and providers like me that are brokers are doing their job, are worth their salt. If you have this healthcare illiteracy in your organization, call your broker and say, why is this the situation? Why are we like this? How do I improve healthcare literacy? And if they don't know what healthcare literacy is, fire them, get rid of them. The other options were the difference between your premium and what your health insurance pays. 9% chose that. The percentage your health insurance plan pays versus what you pay, 12%. And a lot of times that 12% number right there is the same. There were 2% of none of these and 7% I don't know. Can you imagine being in that 7%?
I mean, it's better than the first one at 30%. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nuts to me. It's nuts to me. We have to start teaching.
But here's why it's confusing, okay? What people think it is, even by that definition, versus how Brandon described it. I don't remember the exact wording he used, but
Can we roll this back and get that?
what we think is a traditional, if you're just talking about any kind of insurance, you're thinking, I have a deductible. I have to pay, those are the first dollars paid before my plan will kick in and pay the rest, right? That's not how this works, though. It's now, those are the first dollars I have to pay before my plan kicks in at all, but they do not necessarily pay the rest, because then we go back to the second definition.
Co-insurance.
Which is co-insurance. So it's crazy, but you pay your deductible, and then you start sharing the expense, 80-20, 90-10, 70-30, whatever your plan dictates. So you're not done paying. Now, you do have a max out-of-pocket number, which is kind of, it's like a hybrid. They've created a hybrid world where deductible used to mean when you hit your last dollar deductible, 100% is covered after that. If it's home insurance or car insurance or whatever, that's the way that works. Healthcare decided, oh no, we're going to do, you pay your last deductible dollar, now we're going to share costs where we pay most of it, but you still have to pay some. And then you hit a final last dollar number. So let's say your deductible is $1,000, your max out of pocket is $3,000, right? You hit your $1,000, every dollar between $1,001 and $3,000 is shared by you and the insurer. And then when you hit $3,000, now it's covered 100%. They're going to cover all the rest after that. And we wonder why it's confusing to people. It's because of these tricky little ways that they've pushed the dollars back to the consumer to have to pay for. And what you would think would happen in that scenario is what happens in every other industry when consumers are forced to pay more. They start shopping around. They start getting smarter. They start being avid about where's the best price, quality, service, speed to market.
Are you speaking
provider.
as the employer or as the employee?
I'm saying when in any other market, if a price increase happened for a good or service, and it was as the consumer of that good or service, I'm going to be like, I'm going to look around now. I wasn't worried about it before.
But what if you're totally happy with it?
Well, you were until the price started going up.
Here's what's even funny, even more interesting. I scrolled down a little bit, and it says, most people happy with insurance plan. I'm going to read this because it's entertaining as can be. Although survey respondents are confused by medical bills and many don't have a full grasp of health insurance terminology, the vast majority of those surveyed said they're happy with their health plans.
They're pretty stoked.
That includes 91% of men who said they're either very or somewhat happy with their health plan. And pin here, the man, if he's at work, gets the plan and he goes home and he throws it down on the table and the spouse has to cipher through it. He's not looking at it anyway. So, yeah, of course you're happy with it. Compared to 82% of women, only 2% of men said they were somewhat happy or unhappy with their plan. So here's how it came up, how it flushed out. Sentiment about your health insurance plan, 47% very happy. Let's go back to what you were just talking about here in a second. Somewhat happy, 38%. Neither happy nor unhappy, neutral, 11%. Somewhat unhappy, 3%. Very unhappy, 1%. That blows my mind. Very unhappy blows my mind because here's what's above that. Action after receiving a medical bill. There has been legislation passed about what's going on in a medical bill. Surprise medical bills. It's called the No Surprises Act, and it helps people who get an unexpected bill because of an out-of-network charge, and it's supposed to help alleviate those issues. Well, if you're getting these and the action after receiving a medical bill and we don't know what to do, how are we very happy with our health plan? I mean, am I crazy? Because there's really good marketing. Do you guys remember the Blue Cross and Blue Shield? It may have been an Integris commercial about Timmy who got hit by the bike and all that. And I cried at this commercial. Like, it made me want to go to Integris for everything because they cared about Timmy. I mean, it was nuts. People are brainwashed. People don't understand what they've got.
You're spot on there. And I don't think brainwashed is too strong of a word. The reason that very happy number is 47% is because in this country, we've basically been told, essentially it boils down to be happy if you have health care at all. And the other side of that is whatever you have, there's not a whole lot you can do about it to change it. Like, there is no power in the consumer in healthcare. That's been taught to us. We have to pick from a plan that somebody else picked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now we can go to the marketplace with once Affordable Care Act was passed, but to go buy it on your own was, it still kind of is a frustrating task.
Mm-hmm.
But most people get their health care through their employer, and it just feels like, what can I do about it? I'm just picking from this. All you're really deciding, if I'm viewing my employees, it really is just coming down to what package can I actually pay for. It doesn't have anything to do with, what's the best plan and the best coverage and the best network of doctors and the best copays and lowest deductible, highest deductible, whatever. It's what is coming out of. They break it down on enrollment. What comes out of your monthly check? Mm-hmm. That's the column that employees are paying attention to for the most part.
I could almost disagree with that, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Let me tell you why. Misunderstandings about health savings account. Where does the health savings account hit them? In the pocketbook, because it's pre-tax. You can make money. You have it's one of the better tax shelters there are in the marketplace. So if it's their pocketbook, we're all worried about taxes. This is the tax time of season. You talked about doing taxes. Dude, we had a banner year for our taxes this year. I quit my job, went to 0 figures a month, from 5 figures a month, and all of a sudden I got a tax return. So the Lord provides in crazy, weird ways, but at the end of the day, I was happy to get a tax return back. But here's what it blows my mind why I don't think their pocketbook is the most important thing, because when they're asked what they know about HSAs, the respondents could choose as many responses as they believed applied. Slightly more than 40% correctly answered that an HSA lets you set aside money on a pre-tax basis to pay for qualified medical expenses, or that an HSA can pay deductibles, coinsurance, and copays. If their pocketbook is the most important thing, this is one thing they would know. This is one thing that they would know. I know it's getting deducted out of their check, but so is FICA, and so is state, and so is all. And they know what that is. Why don't they know this?
Well, they might know about it, but who's explaining the benefits of that to them? Other than you can take it out pre-tax and pay for pre-qualified health expenses. Like, that's set at enrollment. But what does that mean? What, do they know what that? If they don't even know what a copay is, are they going to know what that means?
Sure.
It's hard to, also, do they know you have to choose a certain type of plan to even get an HSA, which usually means a higher deductible, which means higher out of pocket, which they're not doing the math in their head. They're thinking, I don't want that high. I don't want to have to pay that much out of pocket. I want the lower deductible plan, and that's easier for me to think about. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, they might be losing money out of their pocket.
They don't know if they met their deductible last year. Yeah, they don't know if they met their deductible last year. While this is all so troubling for me, you guys know I've recently changed jobs. I went out on my own and I've joined a firm. And I'm going to do a shameless plug here real quick for our firm. We think we have the solution to this. We think we know what needs to be done, and it's education. If you're an employer out there and you're listening right now, ask your employees in a group, get them in a conference room and ask them these questions. And if they don't know, tell your broker to hire an enrollment firm. I joined forces with a group called Benefits at Work that is an enrollment firm. The enrollment firm does this. They charge the employer nothing, and they meet every employee for 30 minutes or more about their health plan, about what they're choosing on their health plan. And they ask questions like, do you know if you met your deductible last year? Have you had any life-changing events where we need to take somebody on, take somebody off? They ask them questions, and we educate about the employer at hand's employee health plan. And I feel like that's a jump start on just handing everybody their packet and saying, you got to have it signed up and you got to be done. Here's the deadline. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, we love the idea of helping the employee understand what the employer is really trying to do with them. If we're not educating, this is not getting better. It's getting worse. And the sad part about it is we have so many more technological platforms where we can educate, and we just don't. We either are too lazy or we don't care. We just don't. As an employer, if you want to control your overall health spend, this is where it starts. If your employees don't know the simple question of what is a copay, what is coinsurance, when can I come in and out of my healthcare plan? What's a qualifying event? Do you know what a qualifying event is, Brandon?
I do. Qualifying event is like when you lose your job or when I think you get a divorce is one. I don't know all of them. Maybe I know having a kid is one. We had a giant mix-up with
What about if you enrolled in college?
If you enrolled in college, is that a qualifying event? I'm not aware.
But what about if you bought a house?
I wouldn't think those are qualifying
events. What if you moved?
Well, maybe that's changed since some of the state stuff, but because is Blue Cross in every state?
Not the same Blue Cross, no.
So I would imagine maybe that is one. I don't know for sure.
That's what I'm saying now. In that, the following are commonly acceptable reasons for buying insurance any time of the year. Choose all that apply. 49% chose switch jobs. 45% you had a baby. 43% you got married. 36% you lost a job. 33% you got divorced. It gets amazing. 28% chose you're unsatisfied with your current insurance. Oh, if that were true. Oh, if that were just true. 27% chose you were diagnosed with a new medical condition. I need a new hip. I'm going to get on some insurance. No, it doesn't work that way. You moved. 17% chose that. 12% chose you enrolled in college, Brandon. Yeah, bought a house. I don't know. And 8%, here we are again, none of the above.
I like this one, 11% you gained weight.
Yeah. 11% chose you gained weight as a reason to be able to currently purchase insurance that you did not have.
Well, I think some of these people probably didn't even know you need a qualifying event to begin with.
Fair
is
point.
What I would probably wager. I remember
Valuable point.
I only learned because I had one whenever I did, and it was probably 6-7 years ago the first time I realized. And then I had the option of taking Cobra,
Yeah.
And then I had to learn what Cobra
And
was.
then
I had to learn. I was like, what am
Did
I
you get
doing?
snake bit by getting that Cobra?
Well, my new employer at the time paid for my Cobra. It was part of the deal. It was like, I'll get your Cobra for I think it was 8 months or something, and then we'll rope you into. It was like a startup that was trying to figure it out. So that was the only reason I've ever had to learn that. And I would imagine a lot of the 2,000 people that were interviewed in this survey probably don't even. They should have asked, what do you think is a qualifying event? Like, what does it even mean before they said, okay, all the ones that think you do, tell us what is a qualifying event.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean? Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, the article itself, we talk about the iceberg analogy often, Alex, and it's the tip of the iceberg. As much as we want to employ reference-based pricing and direct primary care and the things that we know are solutions to the healthcare we're given today, they're solutions to driving costs down. If we do not, you can have a fully insured plan. And if your employees don't know this, you're going to have a high renewal. It affects all plans. This affects all plans. And to me, I know where I got to get better. It slapped me in the face. And I know that whenever I deal with my clients, I'm not going to assume they know anything. I'm going to talk to them about, what do we know? Do we need to do insurance 101 for these people? And two, the second piece of it is, and I want to encourage Accent Care Treatment Center, our group that we work with, to go out and say, we're doing spouse night for insurance. We're inviting spouses in when we go over our employee health care plan, because you don't know if the person you're talking to is the one that's in charge of making these decisions. You don't know if they do it together. My house doesn't. My wife, Tabitha, does it all on the healthcare insurance. I bring it home, and she signs us up for what's the best for the kids and for us. Or talk to your broker about an enrollment firm,
Right.
like Benefits at Work, my company. Bring those guys alongside you. Give them your narrative about your health plan that you want our employees to know. Tell them about your incentives. What incentives do we have to get our employees to utilize this right? Let them talk about the incentives. But if you've got a good enrollment company that's not owned by a carrier, which we're not, other enrollment companies are, the carrier pays them to sell their products. The way an enrollment company makes money is they offer voluntary products to employees. They enrich the benefit at the choice of the employee. They get to say, yeah, I need an accident plan. Guy I work with named Cody Freeman has 4 boys. They buy accident plans every year, and they use them every year.
The trampoline plan.
Yeah, I'm sure. Exactly. It's a trampoline plan or the baseball plan or whatever you want to do. But our enrollment firm offers these ancillary plans, critical illness, cancer plans. We offer pet insurance if you want pet insurance. We offer other things that the employee can purchase. And if it's not right for them, we say, you don't need to talk short-term disability. You're 62. We're not going to worry about short-term disability. You're about to go on Medicare. But that's the kind of scenario that you want, is to have a firm right there with you saying, this is how your plan's laid out. And if you haven't met your deductible in 2 years, why would you not go to the high deductible health plan? Why wouldn't you just do that here and use your direct primary care dog, and you'll pay a lot less money out of your pocket?
It is very important for education. Even people in the industry don't understand certain things. I'll give you an example. We're in this direct contracted world, free market world. Our employees can choose between a qualified high deductible plan with an HSA or a regular plan with an FSA.
Mm-hmm.
The regular plan, this is how it was sold to the employees, is if you choose the regular plan, you can use the direct contracted services. Full stop. And I'm sitting there in the room, and keep in mind, this is being presented by the people that know about it. And I'm sitting there thinking, and keep going, nothing. And so I stand up and say, well, also, you can use the direct contracted plan with the high deductible plan. Everybody's looking at me, no, you can't. No, you can't. No, you can't. No. Like, yes, you can, and you should. But you have to pay for it until you meet the high deductible. High deductible plan means literally the plan cannot pay $1 until you've met your deductible. So if I went to, say, health check screening to get an MRI,
This is great.
I would have to pay that direct contracted price, not the plan. The big pitch with free market medicine and these employer plans is get on this direct network and your employees have no out of pocket and you pay 100%. And that is a wonderful part of the deal. But do not exclude high deductible members because you still need them to be shopping and using the lower cost direct contract, because the moment they hit that deductible, now they're going to know that they can use this network. I'll give you a very specific example. We had an employee who was on the high deductible plan, was told you can't use the direct contracted stuff. So he's just going to his doctor's regular doctor. He's doing his own thing. He's paying his co-pays, his co-insurance, trying to meet his deductible. Well, he needs cataract surgery on both eyes. And he gets one done, and we get the bill. Well, of course, he met his deductible. The surgery was $26,000 for one eye. I think the deductible's $5,000. So forget if he spent any other money. So he paid 21, or he paid 5, and the plan pays 21. Well, he's got to get the other eye done. Well, of course, he wants to do it the same year because he's already met his deductible. Okay, so he does. So what's that? The next one's 26 plus the 21. So 47 is what the plan paid, and he paid 5. If he would have gone to the Surgery Center of Oklahoma, I'm going to make this number up, but it's close, but it's somewhere around, like let's say $10,000. It's somewhere in that ballpark. Maybe a couple thousand less, a couple thousand more, right? The plan would have paid that 100%. He could have paid his deductible of 5 to straight to the surgery center,
as he's supposed to,
right? The whole total bill is 20, so he would have paid 5. Plan would have paid 15. He gets the same outcome. He paid the same amount of deductible, but the plan paid $30,000 less. So you need to get people used to shopping and using the direct contracted market. They just have to know those first dollars have to be paid by them. But wouldn't they rather pay, $500 for an MRI versus $2,500 right at one bill? They're going half their deductible all in when they could have, slow played that out a little bit and saved some money. So, but that's a misunderstanding within the people that know. It's
sure,
this stuff's complicated. So don't feel like if you're listening as an employee or even as an employer, like I didn't know those definitions. Like, don't feel bad about that. It's obviously common based on the survey.
Yeah, absolutely. The survey says it all.
The uncommon is to know all these terms and know how all this works. But what you should be doing, as Mark alluded to, is educate yourself and do everything you can to educate your employees. And if you can bring in a team to do that for you for free, you should definitely do that.
Maybe over whiskey.
100%.
Bring in a team, bring in some whiskey, and talk about it.
All of this lack of education or all of it is how common it is makes me want to drink. It really does. It makes me.
You feel thirsty all of a sudden?
It makes me want to drink.
I'm feeling a little parched.
No, and it's obviously part of where we're at and what we're doing. But the last thing I want to do before we get into this drink piece is I'm reading more of this, and there's one area on this survey we didn't go over, and it's medical bills. Medical bills causing confusion. Well, this also affects our pocketbook. But what I read was, what do you do after a medical bill you didn't expect or don't understand? 1/5 of the respondents said they didn't pay a medical bill until they reviewed it with their doctor's office and insurance company. Younger respondents, age 18 to 41, which is more of we have so many.
So what percentage did that? They reviewed it?
1/5 of respondents said they didn't. 1/5, get it? It's segue perfect into the whiskey piece. Yeah. 1/5 of them said they didn't pay the medical bill until they reviewed it with a doctor's office or insurance company. Surprise medical bills may become less of a problem this year after Congress passed the No Surprises Act, which we talked about, that looks to tackle out-of-network surprise medical bills. The legislation is for patients who receive unexpected medical bills after an emergency visit at an out-of-network facility or after getting care from an out-of-network provider than an in-network provider. So they're leveling the playing field about these out-of-network medical bills. though that's no surprises, that may help people who get unexpected bill and an out-of-network charge. Some Americans, 19%, are struggling with paying other medical bills. Women are more than men say they didn't pay a medical bill because they couldn't afford it, 23 to 9%. So at the end of the day, it isn't just what do we know about our health plan, it's what do we know about the care we received? And that's the convoluted part of healthcare. It's that whole hammer purchase.
Yeah.
It's that whole hammer purchase. Are we going to go to the hardware store and buy a hammer? A whiskey purchase. You can have a whole bottle, and we'll charge you $50 for it now, and we'll bill you later. And then you all of a sudden find yourself drowning in debt because you don't understand or don't know why or how we purchase. We don't buy anything that way ever in this marketplace except healthcare. And starting with the education piece is the way to change it. And then after that, Brandon, you're spot on. Get everybody together, pour up a couple cocktails, get everybody's juices flowing and minds free, and get together and figure out what your employees do know and what they don't know and help them know. As much as we want to drive the cost of healthcare down with these cool RBP and DPC and direct contracting solutions, if we're not educating our employees, those solutions don't matter. They don't matter.
You're 100% right.
So,
I mean, and I think if you do nothing else, if you don't feel like you could personally educate your employees, if you don't have all the knowledge, all you really need to train them to do and teach them to do is call the resource that does know before you do anything. You know, Brandon's talked about calling us personally about a question.
And he has.
But those resources exist for employers. You know, we use Connect Benefit. I can call Connect Benefits toll-free number and just ask, hey, can I go, do you have a dermatologist in network? Or do I need to use my regular network?
Yeah.
And they click. Oh, yeah, you can go see this person, or this person. Do you want me to send you over a voucher? Yes, please. And we do it. But sometimes the answer might be, you know what? No, we don't have, this service contracted yet. We're working on it, but go ahead and use your regular Healthcare Highways network and find a provider, and we'll let you guys know when we identify someone. And usually ask, do you have anyone in mind that we could call and talk to?
Sure.
So get your employees to just simply know my first phone call needs to be to the person that knows the answer. That could be HR, that could be a service like Connect or Kempton. Call that first and just ask. And
the only
answer,
dumb question is the one you don't ask.
Right.
And
right.
always ask. I think courageous authenticity. I went to a Christian Businessmen's Connection meeting the other day, and courageous authenticity came up. That's why I said that to you, Brandon. But the guy got up in front of us and started talking to us, and he's a organization that helps companies that are believers in faith-based organizations put faith first in their organization. And he stood up in front of us and he goes, we have 0 clients. He goes, it's really hard for me to say we have 0 clients, but we're still committed to this and we're going to grow. And he goes, I'm being courageously authentic. And I want employers and employees, if you don't know, go talk to somebody. As an employer, if you don't know, ask your broker. If you're not getting the solutions you need, that's where we look ourselves in the mirror and say, are we in the right relationship? This guy may be in coaching my kids or the elder of my church or whatever, but if he doesn't know, you're putting your employees at risk. You're putting your bottom line at risk. And so it was interesting to me to read the article. I'm glad you guys indulged me for a little bit today on it. It brought to mind the value of the transition I've made with Benefits at Work and how we really believe that enrollment piece is the secret sauce to this. If it's not the secret sauce, it's a big help. It's a big part of what we can do to make things a little bit better. But at this point, I want to shift over to this amazing bottle of whiskey we had today. Have you had this yet, Alex?
I don't. If you mean the toasted version, yes, but I don't know. Is this a store pick? Is this a?
Nope. This is just an Elijah Craig toasted barrel.
Okay.
The
Yes,
reason
I've
I brought this, and I'm gonna be courageously authentic right here, is that Alex was supposed to bring the whiskey today. I brought Peerless last time, and he and I were both scrambling today and running late. He's getting out of town, and I got kids at home on April Day. What is April Day? Edmond
That's not a
lets
day.
their people out. Lets our
April's
kids
a month.
we have April Day in Edmond, and they're letting everybody out of school for it. So I had to be at home with them, and I looked up, and it's 11:11, and so we were scrambling, and I said, "Let me bring the whiskey." This is one of my all-time favorite pours. When I started the collection, the hunt, when I started,
That's fine.
if you're watching this, you'll know what we're laughing. When I started the bourbon hunt, this was kind of one that I couldn't find anywhere. And so I was on the hunt to collect the heck out of it. I liked the idea that it's a toasted barrel. And when they make whiskey, they often put them in a barrel and they char the inside of the barrel. And there are levels of char. And char means they burn the inside of the barrel to make it have carbon or dark. This is not charred. This is toasted. And it was cool to go to Angel's Envy whenever all my buddies and I went to the Bourbon Trail, and they showed barrels with the level of char on them. Well, that invokes the flavor. That brings the flavor in. And toasted barrel, to me, adds a little lighter taste, lighter flavor. It's not as woody. You get a little more fruit out of the wood. You get a little more of some different notes than you would oaky, nutty type flavors. But the toasted barrel has been one of my all-time favorites. We got Elijah Craig toasted barrel. And I want to say to you guys, cheers to another great episode.
Absolutely. It's always fun.
Absolutely.
Love hanging out.
Yep.
And we do have, by the time this episode comes out, FMMA will be right around the corner. Again, if anybody listening wants to attend, please do. It's a great organization. It's a great conference. There's been, I don't know who the speakers are this year, but they don't get small time players. Like last year was Rand Paul or
no, last year was a amazing conference. It was one of my childhood crushes. I don't know. I grew up in the time of MTV and video VJs.
Topanga?
Yeah, nope. Kennedy Montgomery. I loved Kennedy Montgomery. I thought she was beautiful. She was a VJ with Kurt Loder and some of those other guys, and she came on. She's
Downtown
a Fox.
Julie Brown.
Yeah, yep. Kennedy Montgomery is a Fox News pundit now, and she's a believer in leveling the playing field in the healthcare space, and did an amazing job in being the keynote speaker. And I think Rand Paul was the year before.
Yeah, I think so before. Yeah,
They've had some really, really good guys and speakers and really influential people in this space come. You can go to www.fmma.org and go to the events tab, and you'll pull down, and there's an agenda there, and it talks about the agenda and everybody that's going and doing things there. And you will, if you don't come away changed, transformed to some level as a new participant in this marketplace, there may not be any hope. But I do believe that you will meet people that will be inspirational. You'll meet people that, I'll tell you what's even cool, and I've encouraged Jay Kempton to do this. I got to sit down with him not long ago, and he talked about how he and Dr. Smith originally got together. It's an amazing story. I'm not gonna tease it. I'm just gonna tease it. I'm not gonna give any of it away. But man, Jay tells a great story about how these two got together, and they were strange bedfellows. They were strange bedfellows to have these two together, a TPA and a surgery center. At the time that this occurred, it was unheard of for these two to be together for the reasons they were together. But it's good stuff. You'll get to meet a lot of cool people. We'll be there live. We'll be talking to some folks.
We're gonna do as much as we can there. We don't have a real set plan, but we're definitely gonna be set up. We're gonna be broadcasting. We're gonna record some stuff. We're gonna interview people. And we have a short list there that kind of feel like we will sit down with, but we'll see what surprises us. There's always, I've met new people there every year that I still am in contact with. If you show up, you're going to see people that are already doing it. Their proof of concept is over. You can talk to them in depth about whether they're a business owner or they're a provider or they're a advisor. Everybody there's either doing it or really interested in doing it, and it's a great group of people.
Yep.
And it's also a lot of fun. We have a good time, so it's we keep it light.
Well, if you go and as a result of our podcast, please find us. Please come and visit with us. Alex, will you tell everybody where they can find us on the World Wide Web?
It is healthcareucuf.com.
Okay.
And that's the website. We're also on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Just type in healthcare UCUF or uncut and unfiltered. You can type the whole word out and you should find us. one way
Spotify?
or
Are
the
we
other.
still up on Spotify, Brandon?
We are on Spotify.
Indeed.
We're on YouTube. First 2 episodes.
We got 2 up. Nice.
Yeah, more to come.
Nice.
And here we go.
Follow us, subscribe, comment, give us some feedback. We love to engage as we get bigger and as we start doing things and get more episodes out there. We want to engage listeners. We want to engage people who have questions, comments. We want to have healthy discourse. If you don't agree with us, let us know. Alex loves to be disagreed with.
I do.
It sure does.
I will argue just to argue because it's fun for me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I'm going to take this home. This is it
Not
for
true.
Yeah, exactly. This is it for us in our 6th episode of Healthcare Uncut Unfiltered. We're glad you were along the ride with us, and we can't wait to get back in the next hot minute and put out another episode.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye, guys.